Hey everyone, so as everyone knows, and their mother knows, and their grandparents know, the next Saints Row game is a reboot, but I want to kind of talk about the old series and why we didn't get a follow-up or a game based on that lore. And truthfully, the answer to that is, it was beyond messy and impossible to recover. So, for a lot of people, they will say the turning point was with Saints Row the Third, and I agree to a certain degree. So, Saints Row 1 and 2 followed a very similar formula, and Saints Row 3 did mix it up a little, but it made sense. So, after the Saints took over Ultor, they were going to become celebrities. They did have their Saints branded stuff. They essentially became the new Ultor, which follows along the Saints Row 2 storyline. The issue is, they A, didn't kill Dex, which I do think would have actually wrapped up the old saga just a bit more. And also, we had a cliffhanger ending towards the end, which left us kind of going, what choice is Saints Row going to follow through in a sequel? Now, in my opinion, they chose the wrong one. And I've said this multiple times, but I really think that the wrong ending was chose. By keeping Sean D alive and Mayor Reynolds and all that, you had the Saints have no real evolution. Like, nothing really happened. You save the Saints and you go off and do your own thing, and it was cool, I know, but what was the outcome? What changed the Saints? Whereas with the other ending, you see the Saints return to form, where revenge goes over loyalty to a certain degree, and they go, fuck it, let's get revenge on Killbane for everything he did. Let's kill everyone. And I think that would have really returned Saints Row to its sort of gangster-esque roots. I don't think it would have fully recovered it, but I feel like that would have really put Saints Row in a much better position. Also, with the Saints being kind of fragmented and even labelled terrorists, it would have had a very cool plot going to it in Saints Row 4, where it could have been the Saints trying to clear their name or something. But either way, they didn't take that route, and I think that was the first critical mistake. But again, I still think this may have been solvable with a sequel that follows up well and kind of, I don't know, goes back to a more gangster-esque route. But it wasn't. What actually happened is THQ went under and a DLC got stretched into a full game and labelled a sequel. And this is the worst part, and this is why Saints Row 4 will always have that sour taste in the Saints Row fans' mouths. Great game. I love Saints Row 4 with all my heart. It's a very fun game and I have plenty of memories on it. Shouldn't have been called that. That was the problem. It needed a spin-off title like Get Out of Hell. Saints Row 4 could have been called Saints Row Enter the Simulation for all I care. Saints Row Alien Warfare. But the issue is, it wasn't, and because of this, it was labelled a sequel, which means all of its lore and story was canon. And this is really an issue to me, because there's no recovery. You know, the Earth is blown up, where do you, like they say, where do you go from there? But I feel like if Saints Row 4 maybe followed along the older style of game a bit more, especially if you went with a Killbane ending, you could have had a really cool concept to expand into future games. You could have had, say, Saints Row 4 be the Saints clearing their name of the terrorism act that happened in Steelport, maybe the Saints Row going, you know, underground and building themselves up from the scratch underground, trying to clear the name and using, you know, social media and social power to kind of show that they're the good guys. You know, maybe the Saints Row being so-called saints around a new city could have led the Saints into being this sort of, you know, public figure that, if I can compare it to a Netflix show, Money Heist, where the bad guys are just doing everything they can to be viewed as the good guys. And, you know, the Saints go from being labelled terrorists to public heroes taking down the governments that labelled them as such. And it could have just been a very cool revolution-style Saints Row 4, which at the end would have led them into just being back at a normal street gang. A street gang that has public adoration, and maybe returns them towards a more Saints Row 3, but at the start style of setting where, you know, there could have been something happen to the Saints which takes them down a more gangster route than Saints Row 3 eventually led them. To me, that is the issue. It didn't do that, and it was stretched into a full game. And that full game is very fun, and I like it. But there's nowhere to really go from there. And then, Get Out of Hell happens. And this is where, in my opinion, the story gets even more confusing, because do you count AOM as the reboot ending for Get Out of Hell? I don't know, because now we actually do have a reboot. So, is the reboot ending the Saints Row reboot? Is it AOM? Well, it has to be AOM, because Gat had the little police thing on, but is that even canon? Like, Get Out of Hell really just threw the OG Saints ending that perhaps could have had a way of working even more out the window. Because let's say that we do go with the old Saints Row 4. it's already a very messy timeline, but it's recoverable to a very, very certain degree. I don't think many fans would have been happy. But if they went with a time travel ending, they could have travelled back to, I don't know, pre-Stillwater. Maybe they could have gone around killing every single lieutenant that ever did them wrong. You know, they could have ended Zinyak, ended the Vice Kings, the Rollers, the Brotherhood, the Ronin, the Sons of Sandy. Literally every gang that wronged them in the first 3 games. And, I don't know, kill Zinyak along the way or something. Or warn the president or something cool. And they could have done something like that, which to me sounds like it would have been a much better... If they were to do a sequel, because I'm much more in favour of the reboot than all of these options. But if they were to do a sequel, that would have been better than essentially every other thing that they could have done with the game at that point, you know. I feel like that would have been a very cool sequel, and that's just something I kind of would have been on board for. So let me know, where do you think the turning point for the old Saints Row going wrong was? Was it with Saints Row 3? Was it with 4? Was it with Get Out of Hell? What put them at the point of no return? For me, I think there was a few turns they could have done to save the old series, but ultimately, I think that with how it ended out, the full-scale reboot we have was the best avenue, and I think that we do have the best ending, and I think that whilst these other things are fun to theorise about and wonder, you really shouldn't, because it would have just tarnished the older Saints Row more and more, you know what I mean? But yeah, thank you for watching, I hope you did enjoy. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that boring stuff. Join the Discord for some, I don't know, positive Saints Row stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Peace.